The GMTK Game Jam 2021. Since 2017, game developers around the world are challenged to participate in this jam and make a game in just 48 hours to reach the ultimate goal of DDoSing itch.io. And it worked. Multiple times. Oh, and the game also needs to fit a theme. This year, the theme was Joined Together. I usually use the first hour of the jam to think of a good idea, but this time I instantly knew what I had to do. Grappling hook. Here's the idea. You would always move forwards, and the only way to change your direction would be to use the grappling hook. The world would be infinite and randomly generated, which would save me a lot of time since I wouldn't have to do any level design. That also means that there wouldn't be an easy way to fit in a major objective, so the game would be score based. You would get points by ramming into enemies in a specific way, though at that point I had no idea how that would actually work in action. So I set up a Trello board with all the ideas and got to work. I'm using GameMaker Studio 2 for this jam. I started by making the player. Since the controls are going to be the core of the game, I wanted to make them perfect. So like any professional, I used Paint to get a better idea of how the controls would work. And hold on, nothing went wrong. This never happens. I then made a sprite for the player and hold on, it doesn't make a lot of sense if you can just connect to anything. So I added grapple points. This looks a lot better. The only problem is that I have to manually put them in the level, and I want to have an infinite world. So I started working on the world generation, except that I didn't. I made a camera that's definitely not going to break later on. Now that the camera follows the player, and you can actually see the random generation if it existed, I could finally actually start working on it. I ended up making an object that creates grapple points outside of the camera's view, and wow, it works. I'm actually not making a broken game for once. So, after realizing that I messed up the settings on my recording and fixing them, I proceeded to look at the Trello board for half an hour, until I eventually decided to work on the upgrade system. This became the idea of how you would defeat enemies. You would have to collect energy charges, which are scattered across the map, to be able to ram into enemies. When you do that, you lose one energy charge. If you ram into an enemy without charges, you die. It's basically health. So I updated the player sprite to show how many charges you have. And then I made an object that recharges you when you collide with it. I wanted that object to also be randomly generated, so I added them to the world creator and... Okay OBS, you're really going to record with lag like that? But the generation works, so it's fine. After some optimization, I started making the enemies. Looking good. Yeah. But anyways, the enemies work, and they now remove your charges when you collide with them. I then gave the enemies sentience. It's really the simplest AI I've made in the last few years, but it works fine. Also, what? I didn't even program the player death in yet. Why do I turn invisible when I die? I mean, I'm not complaining. If it works, but I don't get what I did right. Anyway, I then built on the upgrade mechanic. Oh, and I also made a cursor, but that's not the point right now. Basically, every time you ram into an enemy, you will absorb that enemy and not only grow, but also get faster. So I did that and wow, that's a massive triangle. Boom, UI. But I feel like something is missing. Screen shake. I've done this countless times, so it shouldn't take too long. I was wrong. This took 1 hour, but it's finally working. I then added some other visual effects, and yes, this looks a lot better. The game is still pretty easy though, so I added a new obstacle. A spiked grapple point. These act like normal grapple points, but you take damage when you touch them. You get the idea. At this point, I've done a lot on day 2, and it was almost over. So I took a break. Just kidding, who needs breaks, am I right? Probably me. Anyways, since I was a bit burned out from programming, I used the rest of the day to make some music. It's just one song, but it has a calm and not calm version. This is the first time that I actually tried making something a bit more ambient, but I think it came out really well. It's time for the final day. Since I was pretty much done, I just focus on some smaller things like animations and polishing. Obviously, the enemy sprite is the single greatest thing ever created in the history of mankind, but I was afraid that it was so good that everyone would give me a 5 out of 5 rating just because of this. But since I wanted everyone else to have a chance, I decided to change it into this. It spins. I also gave it spikes later. The biggest thing I probably did on this day was to add a way to continue if you die. Nice. I also made a main menu, including a tutorial which I just made in GIMP in 5 minutes. And by the way, the game is called Void Hook now. I added a high score, a charge animation, sounds, music. You know, just some small things, since I was pretty much done. But finally, 4 hours before the deadline, I was able to complete the... Wait. Oh no, no, I need to make the HTML version. And GameMaker's HTML module sucks ass. No, it's crashing. Why? Why is this happening? At this point, I didn't know if I could actually finish the game in time. The console for HTML didn't start, so I didn't have a lot to go off of. Eventually, I tried disabling parts of the code and... it was the camera. For some reason, I had to fix the camera. Well, after fixing the HTML version for way too long, I was pretty much good to go. Both versions of the game were done and I was ready to upload them to itch.io. Link in the description. But wait, there's one more thing on the to-do list. Subscribe to Monocode. Can't really do that since it's my own channel. Maybe I could finish this game if someone else subscribed. What a tricky situation. Anyways, since you are now definitely subscribed, I managed to finish this game and submit it to the GMTK Game Jam. Okay, so I'm about to submit Void Hook to the GMTK Game Jam. 1 hour, 25 minutes and 24 seconds left. This was actually a lot closer than I thought it would be. I guess that's everything. 3, 2, 1, submit. Your game has been submitted. Let's go. We just submitted Void Hook to the GMTK Game Jam, so we're pretty much done. Now everything that's left is to wait for the ratings. But yeah, that's it. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, goodbye.